The night smelled like metal and rain. A single floodlight cut through the dark, and a voice snarled words that froze the air.
Die now, BT Teach.
A body was shoved forward, and the gate slammed shut behind her. On the other side of the fence, shapes moved, low, hungry, silent. Everyone watching believed they were about to witness a lesson in cruelty. But none of them knew the truth, and none of them understood how kindness, quiet and steady, was about to change everything. Before the story continues, take a moment to support the channel. If stories about courage and kindness matter to you, please subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. This is Tales River, and your support helps these stories reach more hearts. The woman they shoved into the K9 pen was named Emma Reyes. She was new to the base, fresh boots, short hair tucked under a cap that still smelled like factory starch. To most of the SEALs watching from the concrete, she was just another recruit who didn't belong. Too small, too quiet, too calm. They'd already decided she needed to be broken or sent home. The dogs hadn't eaten in a day. That was the excuse. Training, they called it. Toughen the animals, toughen the people. Kindness in their minds had no place here. Emma landed on her knees in the dirt. She didn't scream, she didn't run, she didn't even flinch when the low growls rolled toward her like thunder. She closed her eyes for one breath, just one, and then she stood up slowly, palms open. The first dog stepped forward, a big Belgian Malinois, ribs faintly visible, eyes sharp and tired. He circled her, sniffing the air. Another followed, then another. Teeth flashed. Someone laughed from the other side of the fence. What they didn't know was that Emma had spent years with dogs like these. She'd slept on concrete floors beside them. She'd stitched their paws and whispered to them through the night after missions went wrong. She knew hunger, she knew fear, and she knew the language that lived underneath it all. "Hey," she said softly, her voice barely louder than the rain. "It's okay. I know. The dogs paused. Emma crouched, lowering herself to their level, never breaking eye contact, never showing fear. Her hands trembled, not from panic, but from care. She recognized the signs, the stiffness, the shallow breathing, the way their tails stayed low. These dogs weren't monsters, they were exhausted. One of the men shouted, "You're done! Get up and run!" Emma didn't move. She reached into her pocket and pulled out something small and wrapped in cloth, a piece of dried meat she'd saved from dinner. She broke it in half and set it gently on the ground. The Malinois sniffed, then ate. Slowly, carefully, the laughter died. Minutes passed that felt like hours. Emma spoke to the dogs the entire time. She told them her name. She told them they were good. She told them she was sorry they were hungry. One by one the dogs relaxed. One leaned against her leg. Another sat. Finally, Emma stood and turned toward the fence. Her face was streaked with mud, but her eyes were steady. "You can open the gate now," she said. No one moved. The commanding officer stepped forward, his jaw tight. "Who are you?" he asked. Emma swallowed. "Staff Sergeant Emma Reyes, K9 handler. I was told to report today." Silence fell like a heavy blanket. The officer looked at the dogs, calm now, gathered around her like a small, loyal crowd. He looked back at the men who had ordered the punishment. His face hardened, not with anger, but with shame. Later that night, Emma sat alone on the steps outside the kennels. The rain had stopped. The dogs slept inside, full for the first time in days. A young SEAL approached her, helmet tucked under his arm. "I'm sorry," he said, staring at the ground. "I didn't know." Emma nodded. "Most people don't," she replied. "That's why it keeps happening." He hesitated. "Why didn't you fight back?" She smiled softly. "Because fear teaches. Fear. Kindness teaches trust." Word spread quickly after that, not about the humiliation of the men who pushed her, but about the woman who refused to become cruel in a cruel moment. Training changed. Feeding schedules changed. And something else shifted too, how people spoke, how they listened, how they treated those who seemed small or different. Weeks later, during a night exercise, a call came in. One of the dogs was injured. Panic rippled through the unit. Emma ran without hesitation, dropping to her knees beside the animal, hands gentle, voice steady. The same men who once laughed now stood back, watching in silence, hope written on their faces. The dog survived that night. The commanding officer pulled Emma aside. "You didn't just save the dogs," he said. "You saved us from ourselves." Emma shook her head. "I just did what was right." Years passed. Emma became a legend, not because she was loud or fierce, but because she never lost her humanity. Recruits learned her story on their first day, not as a warning but as a reminder. Kindness isn't weakness, it's courage without armor. And somewhere in a quiet kennel under a soft light, dogs slept peacefully, trusting the hands that fed them, the voice that never lied. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't to strike back, but to choose kindness when the world expects cruelty. If this story moved you, carry it with you today. Speak gently, act with care. You never know whose life might change because you chose kindness over fear.